we continue to inform you about the events on the front line of the Russian-Ukrainian war. Before we start, friends, don't forget to like this video in support of the Ukrainian people fighting for their freedom. Let's start with the Eastern Front. In the Luhansk region, in the town of Svatov, the Ukrainian military destroyed 10 Russian fuel trucks using HIMARS MLRS. This means that important logistics in the rear have been destroyed. Without diesel, tanks and other heavy equipment will not travel far. Ukraine is choosing very important junctions. In addition, in the Svatov direction, soldiers of the 4th Separate Tank Brigade named after Hetman Ivan Vyhovsky destroyed dugouts of the Russian occupiers. Also in Luhansk region, intelligence officers of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine in cooperation with the soldiers of the Separate Omega Special Forces detachment near the town of Svatov destroyed a Kupol target detection station, a NATO-classified tube arm, a 9K-37 launcher and a Buk missile system. It is known that the price of the Buk system can reach $100 million. The enemy military equipment was detected while it was moving along dirt roads outside of a settlement, after which the targets were struck by kamikaze drones. The situation is developing very actively in the Bakhmut sector, with fighting continuing. Ukrainian troops control approximately 75 to 80% of Klishkiivka village. In recent days, in the center of the occupied territories, we managed to drive the Russian Federation out of the central stronghold. In the northwest, they managed to advance to the buildings in the village. This village, as well as Kurdyumivka and Andriivka, are the epicenter of the fighting in this area. In this area, the brigade's aerial reconnaissance found a significant concentration of Russians, who were targeted by 2S, 1 Gvozdika and BM-21 Grad. For most of the occupiers, these fireworks were the last. The General Staff noted that the Ukrainian Defense Forces continue to advance in the Bakhmut sector, taking back their homeland from the occupiers. Southern Front. The military from the front reported in a Telegram channel that Ukrainian defenders had entered the village of Zavin Zahidjia. There are 2 kilometers left to break through the main defense line. You can see what is happening there in this video. The Russian occupiers have released photos of shelling of residential buildings in the village from their side. Official comments are expected soon. The Ukrainian armed forces are expanding their foothold in the Tokmak sector in Zaporizhia region. The bypass of Novoprokopivka continues. Ukrainian troops are bypassing the occupiers' fortifications on the road to Tokmak and may reach the intersection of 2 ways of life, a highway and a railroad. Then Tokmak will be cut off. Reports are circulating online that Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance groups have begun to enter the village of Okarevatoy. According to Estonian intelligence, the most important frontline events are now unfolding on the outskirts of Rabatine village, south of which the Russian military is barely holding its ground. Here, the Ukrainian armed forces have exhausted the Russians to break through the first line of defense. Estonian intelligence also reported that in an attempt to stabilize the situation in the sector of Novoprokopivka and Verbov villages, the Russian armed forces moved units of the 76th Guards Air Assault Division from near Lyman in Donetsk region, and an assault brigade from the Bakhmut direction to this area. Ukrainian troops have made notable progress in their counteroffensive in southern Ukraine in recent days, U.S. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said. He said that Washington had observed a marked advance by Ukrainian forces south of Zaporizhia over the past 72 hours. In the Kherson sector, the occupants continue to fire from the occupied territory at civilian settlements in the Kherson region that are under Ukrainian control. In this area, Ukrainian troops destroyed a Russian MSTAB howitzer using HIMARS multiple rocket launcher systems. In total, according to Forbes, the Ukrainian armed forces destroyed $1 billion $2 million worth of Russian equipment in August. Meanwhile, in the Saratov region of the Russian Federation, the military accidentally dropped a cruise missile worth $13 million. The unexploded cruise missile was discovered by residents of the village of Poltavka. For some unknown reason, it fell off the carrier and landed in a field 8 kilometers from the village. Vigilant tractor drivers mistook the strange object for a drone. However, experts who arrived at the scene determined that it was a Russian X-101 strategic missile that fell 300 kilometers from the front. Finally, it should be noted that the United States has decided to provide Ukraine with depleted uranium shells for the first time. The ammunition can be used from American Abrams tanks, which will be delivered to Ukraine in the coming weeks.